Greetings, YouTube! The Doctor is in. Dr. Urius Papers here, coming at you with another commentary on Dungeons and Dragons. And today on the Doctor Spell Prognosis, we're talking about the spell Hallow, or is it Unhallow, or Desecrate? We're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. But first, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments, please leave a question or comment. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I got a video coming out. All right, we're giving Hallow a C+. It is a 5th level spell. We got to scroll down here a little bit. That is usable by clerics and the fiend warlocks. Just 2 classes. That's it. And one of them is not a full class. It's part of a class. So I'm not sure why it's a 5th level spell, and I'm not sure why the anti-paladin couldn't use this, but they don't. So it's just those 2. This spell has aspects that are holy, and then it has some things in here that are unholy. I kind of wish they would have gone through that. Well, it says unholy or holy power in it, so it doesn't really touch on that a whole lot. But it is a 5th level spell. It does have a casting time of 24 hours, and it has a cost. It's verbal, somatic, and material component, and then you've got to do this ritual with herbs, oils, and insight. You got to basically consecrate the area or desecrate the area. And it does cost 1,000 gold, and it consumes the spell. It lasts until it is dispelled. So it's a spell that's in the area. It's basically permanent, but it is an ongoing spell, so it can be dispelled. So you really want to cast this spell on a permanent structure that, you know, your party has, say, it's the temple that you guys hang out in, or it's the temple that's inside your keep or your castle. This is something that's not really part of living games as much, so like Dungeons and Dragons Adventure League. And, you know, so this is not that great of a spell for that, but this is definitely a spell for players for a home game. It also could be a DM tool spell that could be used in an encounter where the area is unhallowed or desecrated in such a way, and we'll go through the different abilities. And one of the other things I want to talk about is what I think some of the better abilities are versus others. So again, you know, if you have plenty, you're not casting this in combat, obviously. So if you have plenty of time ahead of an encounter and you got gold to burn, then you could use this as part of your planning for an encounter that's going to happen in a specific place. You know, like your castle or keep is going to get attacked, and you're going to retreat back, a retreat and a regroup back into like an area that you want to have a certain advantage. That's where this would come in. All right, so you touch a point and infuse an area around it with holy or unholy power. The area can have a radius up to 60 feet. And the spell fails if the radius includes an area that's already under the Hallow spell. So you want to pick a pretty wide open area that you can put this on. The affected area is subject to the following effects. So first, celestials, elementals, fiends, fae, and undead cannot enter the area. So they can't come in. They can't fly in. They can't step in. They can't run in. They shouldn't be able to teleport in, because that also counts as entering the area, so they cannot enter the area, nor can such creatures charm, frighten, or possess creatures within it. So that's for powers that they might use that have a range. 60-foot radius is pretty big, though. So any creature charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed upon entering the area. So if you got a buddy, if you got one of your allies that is possession is the big one. That's a big one, because that one's hard to get rid of. If you've got one of your allies that's possessed by, say, a ghost or a spirit or something, you can drag them in here and they're no longer possessed. And you can exclude one or more of those types of creatures from this effect. So if you're holy, you could exclude celestials. If you're good and holy and all that. If you're unholy and you're desecrating the area, you could exclude fiends. Or undead, that kind of thing. So for DMs, this is a good tool to use as an area in an encounter where you could have fiends and or undead in the area. Some characters have to be careful with this, because if it excludes celestials and you've got any kind of celestial in you, then that could not be great. Okay, so second, you can bind an extra effect to an area. So you choose one of the effects listed below, or choose an effect offered by the GM. I would prefer just to use the rules with this. Some of these effects apply to creatures in the area. You can designate whether the effect applies to all creatures that follow a specific deity or leader, or creatures of a specific sort, such as orcs and trolls. So you can designate where the effect applies to all creatures that follow a specific deity or leader, or creatures of a specific sort. So you could say fiends. Well, fiends can't get in. So you could say, yeah, orcs or trolls or humans or humanoid. I guess it could. I'm going to say it can't be humanoids because it does specify orcs, and orcs are a subtype of humanoid. So I would say you have to be pretty deep into those details. When a creature that would be affected enters the spell's area for the first time or on a turn, it starts its turn there. It has to make a charisma saving throw. It's a great saving throw. We love charisma saving throws. On a success, it ignores the effect until it leaves the area. So you could push it out, and then as soon as it comes back in, it can get affected by it again. And then these are the things that you can use. Courage. All affected creatures cannot be frightened. So I don't necessarily like that because it prevents frightened from the creatures that can't get in to begin with. There are some creatures that have frightening. I guess that for undead, let's check this out. For undead, yeah, they are not frightened. Turn undead does not frighten creatures, so that really isn't going to work for undead. That's just okay. Darkness. Darkness fills the area. Normal light as well as magical light created by spells of a lower level than the slot you use to cast the spell cannot illuminate the area. So this is a magical darkness. This is one of those darknesses that people with dark vision cannot see in. So that's not really going to apply. This is just regular darkness, but it is a 5th level darkness. Or if you cast it at a higher level, then and I would say, if you're going to cast this spell and you've got 9th level spells, I would cast it as a 9th level spell just for that. Just to make sure that they have to cast a 9th level light spell. So normal light and magical light created of a lower level than the slot you cast cannot illuminate the area. So that's more or less for the unholy. Daylight, bright light fills the area. Magical darkness, and this is kind of the opposite of that. Magical darkness created by the spells of a lower level than the slot you used to cast this can extinguish the light. So again, if you're going to cast this spell and you've got 9th level spells, I would just cast it at the highest level that you can because of the 24-hour casting time, because you're going to get a rest after this probably, and then it'll be good. This is a permanent spell that you're putting on, so it takes some planning. Energy protection. Affected creatures in the area have resistance to one type of your choice, except for bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing is an energy. So, well, it's a damage type. Energy protection is that's self-explanatory. That's pretty good. So if you know you're going to be fighting fire creatures, again, if you say elementals can't come in, then they can't come in. So what you might want to do is you might have that, if you're a DM, you might want to have an area that is hallowed, and then you allow elementals to come in, and maybe say fire elementals, and they have protection against cold, something like that. Energy vulnerability. This, I think, is one of the best ones. Energy protection is pretty good if the players know that they're going to be fighting something with fire, or cold or whatever. Then they can, like a dragon. Let's say it's a dragon and it's a blue dragon, so you can give everybody lightning resistance. Energy vulnerability. Affected creatures in the area have vulnerability one type of damage of your choice. If it's holy, I would probably pick radiant. That way, there are a bunch of powers that do radiant damage for clerics and paladins and such. So, But you might have a lot of fire, so you and your allies could do fire damage, and you could make everything vulnerable to fire. Everlasting rest. Dead bodies interned in the area can't be turned into undead. So that's that. That is what it is. I think that's more of a kind of DM tool. Could be a player tool if the players want to store a dead body there that they don't want to become undead. Extra dimensional interference. Affected creatures can't move or travel using teleportation or by extra dimensional interplanar means. You don't want something to get away, then you put this in. This could be good against like aberrations that can teleport and do things like that. Obviously, if you're going to let fiends and undead not come in, then they're not teleporting in. Fear. Affected creatures are frightened while in the area. That can be pretty nasty. That can be very nasty, especially if you have a bunch of undead that are already immune to fear. Silence. No sound can emanate from within the area, and no sound can reach into it. That's a bad one. So that can be very bad for if you just want to stop spells from happening. That's most spells right there. And then finally, tongues. Affected creatures can communicate with any other creature in the area, even if they don't share a common language. That's more of a DM tool, I think, that you could create a place with NPCs in a castle or a keep where it's a meeting place and everybody can come in and use the tongues and negotiate treaties and things like that. It's a story. That's a story point. All right. Well, that's what we got for everybody today. I appreciate everybody tuning in, and I will catch everybody later.